Welcome back to Enter Scoop Phase. I'm Otaku Superior, and today we're going over the Alphamon build for BT9. This is one of the OTK builds for BT9. This is pretty much the simplest of them. It's the easiest to learn. It's the best at what it does. And yeah, I guess it kind of has an expiration date now, thanks to Bandai thinking that, it existed in the metagame longer than anticipated. So unfortunately, we can look forward to a ban list change that will definitely cripple this deck. So while this deck has gotten support for the last 3 sets in a row, unfortunately it's kind of reached the end of its road for the foreseeable future. But at least for BT9, it's still a very good deck. So let's go over it. Starting off with the Digi-Eggs. For Doraemon, this is the only egg you run. None of the other ones do anything as well as this, because being able to draw, in most cases, before an attack swing is very convenient. You run 4 of this for consistency only. That's it. There's no other choice. For rookies, for Doraemon, this is your ideal evolution target. Sure, its on play is really good, but if you have the option to play it or evolve it, you evolve it, because being able to get a memory every turn is amazing. Pretty much necessary for setting up for your OTK swing turn. Some other guys for consistency, 2 Ryudomon. You only want to play this guy because his inherit might as well not even exist. You don't care about Decoy Black. It's not gonna come up. It never comes up. It is slightly better to on-play over Doraemon because searching for Yuji is usually better than Kota, because you should be running more Yuji than Kota. We run it because there aren't really a lot of other options. The other consistency choice is the BT9 Doraemon. I'm only running 1. I don't like it. Typically, if you need to play it, it's early on because you need to fix a consistency problem, in which case I don't like trashing before you even draw early game when your hand size is small. There are some things you definitely do want to discard in this deck, but unless they're in your hand near the beginning of the game, you're typically discarding some other card that would have been more optimal to keep. So it's typically better to get a single card off Ryudomon search rather than potential getting 2 things completely random. Sure, you can draw other things you definitely need, but and don't inherit, because it's practically the same as Ryudomon. It has no inherit. In case you can't evolve into Doraemon, you evolve into Sonorizamon. This promo is still incredibly good for the deck. While you don't have the memory gain from Doraemon, you get another security attack +1. There are some downsides to using this guy though. He's not x-antibody, so you can't search into him. That also means you can't add it into sources once you pass rookie level. Also, his piercing effect that he grants your big stack when you're on board doesn't really come up that often. Typically not swinging at their big stack, but I mean, it's there if it comes up. Champion lineup's pretty simple. For Doraemon, the 1k DP inherit is nice. Not incredibly necessary, but it's still nice to have. Being able to give it blocker is really nice too. Once you've already got your stack going, you can just evolve one of the level 3 searchers you've played, just get blocker. Of course, it pairs well with 4 Dex Doraemon. Free evolution on top, triggers Cool Boy. On Digivolve Trash and X-Antibody, you can regain memory. Helps to extend your plays, evolving it onto Doraemon. If it's on board, you gain 1 memory by discarding a card, which is great. You can discard Doraemon or Oriyumon to set up your trash, so then you can add it back in with Alphamon. Also naturally gains blocker and retaliation if you evolve it on top of Doraemon, so that isn't really going to come up that often, but it's still a nice little thing to have. For ultimates, for Doraemon, there's a reason they limited to 1, because it's the crux of the deck, and they wanted to kill the deck, so you buy the new stuff instead. Nevertheless, this is an amazing card. It's the best thing to evolve into once you've moved your level 4 out of breeding. When you evolve into it, set up your sources, add an Oriyumon or another Doraemon under its sources, set it up for the evolution. You also gain protection from deletion effects and DP reduction, which is great, keeps it alive long enough. And then you want to evolve into Dex Doraemon, costs 1 to evolve on Doraemon, so it doesn't cost 4. And then another Trash and x-antibody from your hand to gain 1 memory and refund the evolution. It does have another little deletion effect. It is a nice way to get rid of floodgates if needed. We're also running 1 Grademon. This is a nice tech-in option. You can add it in using Doraemon or the BT9 Alphamon. Its inherit's also another good way to get rid of floodgates on the board. The on Digivolve effect is more of a luck sack thing. It probably isn't going to work in your favor, but it's there. Level 6s, the BT9 Alphamon. Excellent on Digivolve effect. Place a card with x-antibody from your trash underneath it, so you can easily grab a Doraemon and Oriyumon that you've trashed using one of your Dex guys, put it under, set him up right away, and once per turn, whenever you add an evolution source underneath him, you de-Digivolve 1. This comes in clutch more often than you think. Being able to drop them one evolution stage puts a damper on whatever plans they're doing, essentially forcing them to build back up another stage. Also running 3 Oriyumon. We do not want to run 4 of this thing. If you have to evolve into it, it's incredibly suboptimal. It costs more. It pretty much forces you to pay the full cost for an Oryuken evolve. Of course, it's only here because of its inherent end of attack once per turn. Your Alphamon can unsuspend, which definitely goes into your boss card. We're running 3 Alphamon Oryuken. This is the end game. We need to evolve into this thing. Hopefully, you didn't have to evolve this on top of Oryumon. On Digivolve Destroy all your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost. This will remove their OTK stack. Also has an excellent end of turn. Return up to 7 non-Digi-Egg cards with x-antibody and traits from this guy's sources to the bottom of your deck and gain 1 memory for each card. So you send back all of the cards that don't give you security attack +1. Once you've already attacked and you've activated Oryumon's restand, you might as well send that back too. You typically don't need to do a double swing twice with this deck. Tamers, we're running 4 Cool Boy. This card is essentially made for this deck. On play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You get any x-antibody, which is the majority of your deck. A lot of times, even if you don't have the Doraemon on your first turn, you can easily just pay 2 pass for a search. Also, whenever you do a same level evolution, so Doraemon to Dex or Doraemon to Dex, tap this, gain 1 memory, draw 1. It's good memory, it's good draw, good consistency. Running 3 UG, since we're running 2 Ryudamon, we are running a decent amount of UG just in case that does come up. When you move your guy out from breeding, gain 1 memory and draw 1. When you're ready to evolve your stack, gives you extra memory to keep that going. Just in case you are missing a Doraemon or an Oryumon in your source, when you swing with your big stack, you can add it with UG. And finally, to Coda. This is really just here to keep us from getting memory locked. A lot of our evolutions are fairly costly. We like to at least have 3 memory to start our turn with, especially if we're playing against D-Reaper, or from decks that like to keep us from starting with a decent amount of memory. The on-play search is nice, but for a 4 cost it is kind of heavy. Options are pretty much just consistency and dealing with any problems we might run into. 2 Congo. This helps to slow down the rush decks that come at us, like Magnamon, Metal Garurumon. This also keeps your opponent from security recovering, though with Yellow Hybrid getting smacked a bit, we don't really have that problem as much. So if you do run into a Mastamon or D-Namon deck, it does come up. It also saves you from Chaos Degradade. It's a nice little 2-pass to end your turn. Also, Breath of the Gods. Very good if you just need to pass your turn and you have to leave your door. Greymon on board gives it extra protection, can't have its DP reduced, can't be returned to hand or deck. This is the only thing that saves you from Mega Death. Running 2 Black Memory Boost, just for consistency's sake, just another searcher. It's the only thing in the deck that can grab Cinerizamon, though we don't really need it. If it comes up, sure, yeah, grab it, but there are better things to grab. Getting it out early and just having another 2 memory you can pop later on is also a nice extender. Last 2 X-Antibody is kind of a weird option, because all you guys are already X-Antibody. It is nice if you are a little low on memory. You can use it to evolve your Alphamon into Oryuken on a swing, and then just use Oryuken's end of turn to regain the memory back. It also can be returned by Oryuken's memory effect. You can actually return it to the bottom of the deck because it's not a Digi-Egg. It doesn't have to be a Digimon to send back. Alphamon is an excellent deck for BT9. It's one of the tier 1 decks, one of the best choices. The main problem with it, though, is definitely the fact that it now has a looming expiration date on it. So far, every Japanese ban we have gotten, well, we don't know yet when we're getting the Doraemon limit. We are still going to get it at some point. So unfortunately, that means this deck is going to pretty much die out at some point. So there is kind of an issue with, if you want to build the deck, a lot of the value just disappears afterwards. There's not much you can do with a lot of these cards in any other deck afterwards. It's an archetype deck, and they killed it. So while this is an excellent deck for BT9, the expectation is probably by the time BT10 hits, you won't be able to even use it anymore. Definitely is really a downer. Otherwise, I don't know what else to say about it. It's an incredibly consistent OTK deck. It has lots of draw, lots of consistency, lots of protection, lots of memory gain. It does everything you want in this format. Obligatory part where I plug you for social interaction. Do you like Alphamon? Do you like using it? Comments? Because no one posts comments. Look how to post comments. I'm not begging. I'm begging.